Tantor Audio presents Never Trust a Liberal Over 3, Especially a Republican, by Ann Coulter. Narrated by Marguerite Gavin. Chapter 1. Will this be on the midterms? Liberals never give up. Nothing is ever over until they get their way, much like 2-year-olds. That's why we have to go back every few years and remind everyone that we already had this argument, and liberals lost. There's a reason our party's symbol is the elephant. We never forget. And the Democrats is a jackass. Hey, anyone remember when liberals told us in the 1970s that Earth was going to freeze in 2 years? Now they tell us it's going to overheat in 2 years. Remember when Hubert Humphrey said he'd eat his hat if civil rights laws ever led to racial quotas? Now they call us racist for opposing racial quotas. Remember when Teddy Kennedy assured us his immigration bill would not alter the country's ethnic mix? Since the bill passed, immigration has changed the nation's ethnicity from nearly 90% white in 1965 to about 63% white in 2013. Remember when they called President Ronald Reagan a dangerous cowboy threatening world peace? Now they act like he was a good partner with liberals in winning the Cold War. Remember when the media howled that President Bush lied in his State of the Union address about Saddam Hussein seeking uranium from Niger? Then 2 investigative committees, here and in Britain, established that he was telling the truth, and liberal darling Joe Wilson was the liar. If you do remember any of that, then Aaron Sorkin's TV show The Newsroom will make no sense to you. Conservatives win an argument in real life, and then a year later, Sorkin writes a little teleplay reversing the facts so that liberals get to win. Most people barely pay attention to what's happening now, much less 2 years ago, and much, much less a few decades ago. That's how the liberal version of history becomes accepted fact. It's not that history is written by the victors. History is written by the pushy. When one side cares much more about the historical record, there's not a lot you can do about it, especially when the pushy have tenure. I've often said that I could rewrite the same columns every year, because liberals keep telling the same lies, but there's a limit to how many times a person can point out that Valerie Plame wasn't an undercover agent. The August 6, 2001 presidential daily briefing titled Bin Laden Determined to Strike in U.S. was irrelevant to the 9/11 attacks. Joe McCarthy was right. The teenagers convicted of the attack on the Central Park jogger were guilty. Executed murderer Troy Davis was guilty.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?